Hello everyone, Storm here, and today we'll be making the GT version to What If Goku Never Hit His Head. So as I normally do with these GT What Ifs, it's just going to continue after Z instead of Super. So if you haven't already, you need to go watch parts 1 through 8, which will be linked in both the description and comments section. A short recap of our main changes before approaching this version will be provided now. So essentially, Gohan never trained. Like, ever. Raditz turned good, Bardock and Gine were both revived, and Kakarot never died with Cell. This means there is no Super Saiyan 3 fusion and also no instant transmission because Kakarot didn't go to Yardrat either. Also, yeah, his name's Kakarot. Piccolo unlocked the ultimate form instead of Gohan and killed Super Buu, and Bardock also has a daughter who is named Cella and is roughly the same age as Trunks. And that's the recap. Oh yeah, also, Goten is a bit older, he's like 4 years older than Trunks. So with that being said, we're just gonna get straight into the video now. So before we delve into GT, we first have to discuss the end of Z. Basically, 10 years have passed since Majin Buu's attack, so let's see what our gang has been doing. Kakarot, Raditz, Bardock, and Piccolo have been doing their typical training together, and half the time they are joined by Cella and Goten when not dealing with their own lives. They're gonna keep up their own training, but, you know, they kinda have their own lives to deal with. At the same time, Vegeta trains with his son, Trunks, who's been trying to balance out his normal life with his training as well. The tournament would still occur, with Krillin also showing up this time. He's got a son with him, around the same age as Pan and Bra. This is because he never got to marry Android 18 since she was dead, so he trained in his off time and met a new woman instead. If you want to pinpoint who exactly it might be someone like Suno or Launch or whatever you guys want, but basically, it doesn't really matter. It's just a random woman. His son is going to be named Chestnut since that's what Krillin means, and Marin as well. He would have trained his son with the help of Yamcha, so that's pretty neat. But the tournament would still end with Kakarot meeting Oob, who instead of being reincarnated from Kid Buu, would be from Super Buu. But basically, Kakarot takes him back to his place to train with him and his family. The reason for not going off on his own with him is because he knows that this is the superior way to train and he's been doing this for the longest time, and plus he's got his guardian duties as well. Pan also decides to join their training since she wanted to train with her grandfather in canon, and here she's actually going to get the chance to. After the 5 years have passed, we would see a much stronger Kakarot and Oob. The same can be said for Piccolo, Bardock, and Raditz. The three are all really powerful, with Piccolo's ultimate form rivaling Super Saiyan 2 Kakarot. Following their strength would be Vegeta, who's been training on his own, with Trunks hardly involved. Not only does he have his Capsule Corp duties, but he also currently has a wife and child. The wife would be Cella, and their child would be a baby girl named Tights, since Tights, Bulma's sister, doesn't exist in GT. We would also see Goten having a baby boy with some random girl, as he was over 4 years older in this timeline, so it would make sense if he's actually going out, because in canon he was actually going out and dating, so it would make sense. The kid would be a year older than Tights and would be named Pick, since Goten held a deep respect for Piccolo due to being involved in his life a lot of the time. Also, Krillin's son, Chestnut, would be training with both his father and Yamcha, and also occasionally Tenshinhan and Chaozu. He is skilled with the sword, and has most of the main techniques from the 4 Earthlings. He's been trying to get a handle on the Kaioken since Yamcha has it in this timeline. He's got more than enough strength to do it, but the strain on such a young body is quite difficult to handle. He is only 9, so it's kinda like a GT Goku thing with Super Saiyan 3. He's incredibly powerful, however, he's not quite on the level of Pan. And that perfectly transitions me into talking about Pan's power, and she has also unlocked Super Saiyan 2 during this time of training with so many other Saiyans. She didn't slack like she did in canon, she's actually being there training. Anyway, that's enough catching up with the gang, so now let's get into the first saga. Or, I would if there was a saga to get into. You see, with Piccolo being the Guardian of Earth, he's not gonna let Pilaf get anywhere near the Lookout. So nobody wishes for Kakarot to be a child, which means there's no quest in space either. So instead, our gang would continue to train in peace, possibly participating in another new tournament. Here we'd see our old gang reunite, with the kids also bonding as well. So what would happen going forward is gonna take us into space. Dr. Miyu would finish Baby and Lord Lude, and they would be fully powered up. These guys wanted the Black Star Dragon Balls, and they were tracking them as well in the original show. So if they're all located on one planet, they're all gonna fully prepare before they make one big assault on Earth. Once the tournament is over with, Kakarot and the others would sense large energies in the sky. They would look up to see spaceships and would prepare to fight. Once landed, Mew steps out of his ship and tells them to surrender the Black Star Dragon Balls or they will have to take them by force. Piccolo, being the guardian of Earth, would tell him no, and so Mew would then step back inside, and after that we would see Cardinal Muchi, Lord Lude, the Sigma Force, and General Rildo all rush out of the ship and charge in to attack. At this point, our Z fighters are going to be able to handle these guys easily. Oob, Pan, and Chestnut would take out Muchi, with Lude being fought by Goten, Trunks, and Cella. At the same time, Piccolo, Raditz, and Bardock beat up the Sigma Force, and Kakarot would be the one to scrap with General Rildo. Basically, what you need to know is that this fight is going to be a breeze. I mean, these guys were all pretty fodder in the original GT, but our Z fighters are much stronger than they were in that version. Muchi's whip would then come back to life, the Sigma Force would fuse, and General Rildo goes into its final form, but it doesn't even matter in the slightest. All it means is that our guys are going to have to try a little bit harder and power up a little bit more. Kakarot would have General Rildo on the ground, and that's when he would begin to scream out. His eyes then appeared to change as he now attacked Kakarot once more, however this time more fiercely and a bit stronger as well. He was swiftly beaten still, but something was different. He was being controlled by Baby. And so as Kakarot is about to kill Rildo, Baby barely escapes from his body, leaving Rildo's body to, just get turned into ash. The gang regroups, with all of them celebrating their victory and then returning back to their normal lives as Baby watches from afar. The mutant waits a few hours to act, but ends up taking over many average people throughout the day. He then eventually sets his sights on Goten. He's walking home to see his wife and child, and so he is now the perfect target. Baby sends multiple goons to attack him, but Goten is going to smack them all pretty easily like he did in the show. This leads to Baby approaching him himself, and Goten would be able to stand against him. However, once things get rough for Baby and Goten transforms, that's when he makes his attack. Baby takes over Goten's body and looks through all of his memories. At that point, he knows where his home is, and so he sends his goons to take over his wife and child. And using Goten's body, he's gonna go for a bigger prize. Trunks and Cella are both at their house tending to their child when Goten walks in. He shoves Trunks and tells him to fight him, and so Trunks would be confused. Why was his best friend attacking him like this? Cella asks Goten to leave, and he backhands her to the ground. At this point, Trunks then shoves him into the wall and says, "Let's go." The three Saiyans then leave to the wasteland and proceed to fight. Baby Goten would then take on both Cella and Trunks, as Cella wasn't going to sit idly by and let her husband fight alone. Of course, Goten had been doing more training than the two of them had, and he was already older as well, so he had a head start. When combined with the power Baby has, he's going to be able to handle the two of them with a lot of difficulty. This leads to a really close fight that would be super cool to watch. Eventually, Trunks and Cella would both go Super Saiyan, and that's when Goten does as well. He then manages to outmaneuver them and goes for Cella first. He blasts her onto the ground, and Baby begins taking over Trunks. Cella screams out, not knowing what was happening, and now both Goten and Trunks set their sight on the women. She tries escaping, but Baby comes out of their bodies and protrudes in front of them. He smiles before then taking over her as well. Baby was building up his Saiyan ranks quite nicely, with 3 really strong ones. 2 half-breeds and 1 full Saiyan in Cella. He sends some more random people he took over to get Gohan and Videl, as the two of them are both pretty fodder. They didn't really need much to take them out. And meanwhile, the 3 main ones would begin heading toward Capsule Corp. They do try to stay suppressed, as they know Piccolo would be on guard duty as well, so they don't want to alert him. They eventually arrive at Capsule Corp and find out that Vegeta isn't there, so they take Bulma over and look through her memories to see that Vegeta is on a drive with Bra. Baby flies out later that night and proceeds to approach Vegeta as Trunks. Vegeta isn't able to stop the car in time, and so he hits him, launching him across the road. He then gets out and walks over to see if Trunks is alright, and he would stand up and say that it's fine, before then punching him. However, Vegeta would then catch this attack, saying that no son of his would be hurt by a car. He then proceeds to punch Trunks across the road, and tells Bra to go home. Now the father and son would then square off, but Vegeta is going to be having the edge, and this leads to both of them going Super Saiyan and Goten and Cella arriving. And with that, the 3 then proceed to blitz Vegeta and take him over as well. However, Vegeta isn't going to be the main host, so he doesn't get the white hair and the big power amp. As the 4 attempt to move on, Piccolo would step in front of them. He had caught wind of their fight a few hours ago, but they left before he could get there, and now he's got them in his sights. He'll be the one to set the record straight and get them to leave Earth, one way or another. The Namekian then proceeds to do battle with the 4 in his ultimate form. We saw how Baby, Gohan, and Goten did against Goku. Both of them got wiped, even in Super Saiyan, by Goku's base form. And without Vegeta's host amp from Baby, Earth's Guardian is just going to be tossing all of these guys around. However, he isn't able to kill them. And so Baby is able to take control over him as well. Now they've got one of the strongest people on Earth. There's no way to lose anymore. And so they begin their true assault. The next morning, Kakarot, Bardock, Pan, and Oob awake to see all of Baby's new minions at their doorstep. They are now surrounded, and so Baby sends his main guys against them. Kakarot fights Piccolo, Raditz fights Vegeta, Bardock fights Goten, Pan fights Cella, and Oob fights Trunks. This, unfortunately, is gonna lead to Kakarot being taken over by Baby, as he was the strongest Saiyan. Now this may seem a bit confusing to you guys, as Baby didn't want to take him over in the show because he had a vendetta against him for messing with him before. However, the simple explanation is that he doesn't have that here. Kakarot never went into space and blew up his whole thing and, messed with him, so of course he's just gonna take the strongest Saiyan that he can. He fully absorbs Kakarot and makes him the main host. This gives him the white hair and the big power amp as well. He now attempts to kill the rest of them with a large ball of energy as he doesn't need them anymore, but Bardock and Raditz attempt to hold it back. Bardock tells Pan and Oob to get out of here while they still can, and so Oob slams his fist through the ground to create a hole. He then rapidly attacks the ground, just punching it over and over and over again, and then grabs Pan and jumps in. Raditz smirks at the brilliance of the boy, and would then try to hold back the attack, as it was now too late for himself and his father. The two are now overtaken by the blast, but they were then saved by Shin and Kibito. The two go through the whole game thing that Goku did originally and eventually make their way to Supreme Kai's planet. Meanwhile, Baby would be using the Black Star Dragon Balls to create a new planet. This would be named Sefuru and would be home to his new race. And so, as the entire planet is turned into his army, they then prepare to leave on a giant spaceship. The only remaining survivors are Pan, Oob, and Chestnut, as they are all presumed dead. Chestnut had escaped due to his father and Yamcha protecting him, and the three kids then come up with a plan to infiltrate Baby's new planet, and so they would do so. They enter Baby's ship in secret and take the ride with him. At this point, Bardock and Raditz have already talked with the Kais about what to do, and their only hope is to let the Elder Kai awaken their potential. Bardock allows Raditz to go first, and so the Elder Kai then does his dance. Shin and Kibito decide to recruit Bardock to get the sacred water, as that would be the only way to reverse Baby's control. Much time would pass, and eventually Pan, Oob, and Chestnut would make themselves known. They attempt to attack the weaker Baby minions, but are still overwhelmed in the end. With no good Buu to fuse with, Oob isn't going to be able to become Majub, and so he's going to take the L along with the rest. Back on the land of the Kais, Bardock, Shin, and Kibito have returned, and Bardock looks at the crystal ball and sees his great-granddaughter being beaten, and so he says that he's gotta go there now. Shin and Kibito agree, as Bardock can distract Baby's goons, while they try and undo some of them with the water. The Saiyan tells Raditz to stay there, and don't go until the unlock is finished. His son says alright, and so Bardock then leaves with the Kais. But that is where we're gonna have to end part 1 of this GT version. This script ended up being way longer than I expected, so I had to split it into 2 parts. In the next one, we're gonna wrap up the Baby saga and do everything after that. But let me know how you're enjoying it so far and what your predictions are. But as always, tell me if you liked this part, tell me what you think will happen next, comment your requests for future videos, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, have a great day.